Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. So hi, everyone, and welcome to our newest episode. We're thrilled to have you here, and we're thrilled that we have a celebrity here. Her name is Krista Ford. Her company is Powered by Krista, and let her tell you a little bit about her and where she came from. So welcome, Krista. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Excellent. So do tell us, you are a coach. So tell us a little bit about how you became a coach. What was your story? Where did you start from? Because there's usually a story about how and why people became the coach that they are.
Okay, so I guess we'll just spin it back just a little bit. So I'm a professional athlete, and so now I'm able to coach what I'm very good in. Okay, so that's how I became that. So I still compete in my sport of powerlifting. I was on the U.S. bobsled team too as well. So I've been an athlete all my life. So what I did was just transitioned into coaching what I know so well now. But I did not get to that point until after I mastered my craft. So I didn't coach anybody. I didn't tell anybody what to do. I didn't tell them how to compete in my sport. I didn't tell them how to do anything. And that came by way of my coaches that coached me in the sport of being where I'm at now. They told me, until you master this, do not give any advice on how to do it, which was very good advice for me, because now, 40-something years later, I know so much more. I'm able to have so much more wisdom and insight on how to coach what I do so well. Mm-hmm. So that's how that all came about. So I came from still a professional athlete into my coaching. So that comes with my talk, teaching, and coaching. That's my little logo that I go by. So I talk, I teach, and I coach. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And you're so right. Some people get into coaching without actually knowing what they're doing and having had the experience of having their own coaches. And so being coached, but it is a different thing to be being coached than it is to actually be a coach.
Totally agree. I totally agree with that. Yes. Yeah.
So you were the first Black female bobsledder for the U.S. women's team.
I am. You know what? I think if you ask any pioneer of anything in life, they will all tell you different stories of how it went for them. For me, it was a unique experience to be the first, but it had its trials and tribulations with that. Okay. So when you're the first in anything, it doesn't matter what it is. It comes with a lot of backlash a lot of times. So I had to get through that. But once I got through that, I was okay. So at that point, and for me, it's an honor to be a pioneer in my sport, as well as that was my second sport. Actually, my first love is powerlifting. That's what I've been doing the longest. That just came in the game later on down the road. They recruited me to be on that team for my specific attributes of being very strong. And I'm one of the strongest women. So they wanted me on the team so I could push the sled and yada, yada, yada. So it was unique. And I am honored that I am the first. But like I said, it had some backlash to it. And there was a lot of stuff I had to go through. But in the end now, it was well worth it, because now I have the bragging rights to say, I did it, I went through it, and I was the first. And now I can tell the story of all the good, bad, and the indifferent about that particular subject.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you feel like, has powerlifting become more popular, especially for women, over the last years?
It has. Oh my God. When I started this back in 89, it was not as popular here, but overseas, powerlifting is super popular. The strongest women and the strongest men are overseas. So it's like our NFL football here versus their soccer. So you see the difference. And then so it has really rose to the occasion. I'm so super satisfied now and I'm happy for it, because for the longest time, there wasn't a ton of women involved with this male-dominated strength sport, but now it is taken off. And I think that has a lot to do with everybody is into their health and fitness now. So everybody's starting to get a clue. If you can start training and exercising and eating decent, you're going to live a longer life. So everybody is starting to really figure that out now. So yes, it's starting to become a lot more popular than it was. And I've seen a huge, especially with this generation now, has taken my sport off to a nice run now, which is good. You got a lot of these millennials and everybody coming in now that is very good for the sport. So yes, I've seen a huge increase in participation in my sport in general.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I was going to say my husband's English and we have some friends in England and
Yeah.
their daughter who's the next generation, like you said,
Yep.
is a power lifter and is doing phenomenally well and is very well supported.
Very much. And overseas it's really popular. Whereas bodybuilding is very popular over here domestically, weightlifting, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, strongman, that is real popular overseas. They just love it over there. So yes, it's really cool, I think, because I'm really see after 4 decades now doing this, I'm really starting to see it take off like it deserved to take off a long time ago. It was just everybody was just playing catch up.
Yeah. And I also know that as especially women age, lifting is so important because you've got those muscles are just deteriorating. And it's the people that I've seen who look amazing and who are thriving are the people who keep up with that type of thing.
And that is so true. And you're so correct on that. And I tell people all the time this, if you allow yourself to get into weight training as well as in the gym, as well as your cardio and whatnot, that weight training is really going to help you later. When you see a lot of older women and men fall, what is the first thing they do? They break their hip. That's because their bottom part of them, their legs, their quads, their hams are not strong enough to hold them and or their upper body to brace themselves. So I tell everybody all the time, as long as you can maintain and get a little bit stronger as you get older, it is going to help you so much later on because of those falls and those incidents that might happen. And you're right, as women get older as well, everything starts, like you said, it starts going the opposite direction. So you got to flip it around and make sure that you keep it going in the right direction, at least maintaining it so you have some bit of your strength. That's very important. So you're right. And it's just phenomenal how I've watched even myself. The older I get, the longer as I've maintained this, the stronger I actually am getting, which is really, it's kind of mind boggling. But I think that once you're intentional and once you really set your mind to do something for you that is so important, and that's your health, I think that it pays you in the end in a very good way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've always been fascinated about power lifters and people in that industry because they have to be so disciplined when you're competing. I'm not talking about the everyday person, but when you're competing, you have to watch your sleep, everything that goes in your mouth, your mindset, all of those things consistently every day in order to be at like a top athlete at a peak level when you're competing.
And you know what? That's any sport. So any sport that you're in, athletes, we think totally different than the average Joe. We really do. And we have to stay locked in. Like you said, we have to be disciplined. We have to be intentional. We have to be focused and non-distracted, because most athletes that I know, even on my level, ones that are on my level as well, we're always locked in going forward to do better each and every time we compete or do whatever we do. So you're right. It takes just a huge discipline and a huge mindset. And you got to get intentional to be on this level or any sport, like you said, especially in competing. You got to get intentional and you got to get serious. But the benefits, once you lock in, oh my God, it's just phenomenal. The benefits of being able to focus and get determined and never give up. And then we take a lot of that, for me as an athlete all my life now. I take a lot of those lessons and I put them right into life. That's what helps me get through life, helps me coach people, helps me put them in the right direction because I'm living it. I'm like living proof that if you can just lock it in, fix your brain to do this for you, you got to love you enough to do something for you. This is great stuff to do for you. Then you're able to play it forward, pass it on, teach it, learn it. And then you can just tell people, I tell people that all the time. You apply everything that we do as athletes into life. That's really all it is. So yes, you're right. Absolutely right about that.
I love that. So that works perfectly into tell us a little bit of a story about a client, might be a favorite client or it might be the biggest transformation and where they were when they came to you and maybe where they are now, or where they were when they moved on?
I have a couple in mind, but I'll just give you two in particular. I had one of my clients has scoliosis of the spine, and the other client of mine is ex-military and had back surgery. So these two people were very skittish on learning the disciplines that I was teaching them, which is squat, bench press, and deadlift. Those are the three disciplines that we compete in our sport. Learning how to do those things with those particular clients I had was, first of all, getting them confident that they're gonna be able to do this. I got them. They're gonna be safe. I understand how this works. And I took them little bitty steps at a time, small steps. And what I just needed to do was encourage them and get their mindset in the right place of them getting off of what's going on with them physically and get them locked in on what I'm telling them to do. So I got their mind distracted into doing something that was very good for them. And the results for both of those people were phenomenal. When I say phenomenal, they started out with just maybe the bar only weighs 45 pounds, right? And started increasing their strength based on the technique that I'm showing them how to do. So it did not bother whatever the element that was going on with them, especially the scoliosis of the spine, because you think about it, you're off in your balance and everything. So I would teach them little things that even a 2-year-old would understand. And it was so much easier for them to understand that. I would like, move your foot here, do this. Listen, how do you feel? And I would constantly keep a track of how they felt as we were doing it. And if they were feeling a little uncomfortable, I say, okay, let's move this. How did that feel? And they said, oh, that feels good. So those two clients in particular, their strength went up. Their technique was awesome once I taught them. And then I got them to believe that they could do anything at that point, even with the things that were going on with them physically. So I got them up here in their brain to shift it and stop focusing on what's going on with them, especially the one with the scoliosis spine. And I would get her so distracted. I would say, let's do this. And then she would totally zero in on what I'm telling her. And she would forgot about all this stuff about the scoliosis of the spine. And that was a great thing. And including him too as well, because he had major back surgery. So squatting, putting weight on your back and going down and coming up was an issue with him mentally at first. But once I got him past that, they were good to go. So both of those clients are very special to me because I saw them just really progress. They listened to what I was telling them. They trusted me. And I just took them, like I said, little baby steps. And I just got their minds switched around to stop thinking about that negative, what's going on with them, and start thinking on the positive of what I'm showing them. And then they flipped. They flipped on a switch, and that was all they needed to do right then. So
That's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. I can tell you're a great coach and trainer. But like you said, I actually trained with a personal trainer when I was in high school still. And I can still remember, it was a long time ago, but I can still remember when I go to the gym, like what muscles to move and what to focus on and what not to move.
But that's true. At the end of the day, it's all about safety. There are so many people out here that have no clue on what they're doing in a gym lifting iron. Anything that's got to do with your plate and your machines, they're lifting iron. That's what they're doing. I've seen some really horrendous stuff, and I see why people get hurt. And so that's a big thing for me. As a coach, it's all about safety for me, first and foremost. Second thing is all about technique. It's how you do it to stay safe, to keep progressing forward. And you're right. Exactly what you learned in high school is exactly the way it needs to be taught. It needs to be taught that way. Learn it the right way. Learn it from the right person, because everybody don't know how to teach this thing. So yes, you're right. You're absolutely correct about that.
Yeah, my girlfriend who I trained with is actually a physical therapist now.
And I know she can appreciate, because they're real stickler on, look, do it this way. Don't do it the way you want to do it. Move this, put it this way, leave it there, and then you keep progressing along. But they're real. And physical therapy is the absolute best way to recover from any orthopedic surgery, period. And I'm proof behind that one. Well, I tell you, physical therapists, they know what they're doing, and they know how to get you back, and they know how to get you back there safely so that all of your muscles and everything starts to firing like they used to. Yeah. So you're right about that. So she got a great job, actually. That's a good teaching job.
Yeah, she got a job that was perfect for her because she
Yeah,
was the one who taught me all of, because it's so interesting to me that you can be on a machine and it's using all kinds of muscles, but there's only some that you're supposed to be focused on using. And obviously you as a trainer and a coach help, like you said, how you helped your client just focus on what they were supposed to be doing. They forgot about everything else.
they did. And it's, you know what? That's the way I train anybody who comes to me with a challenge. Any client that comes to me, any athlete that comes to me with a little challenge, I have to work around that and I have to figure out their triggers too. And I got to figure out how to switch them. And it's usually, honestly, it's usually not too bad on me figuring it out right away because all I got to do is, like you said, get them distracted from what they're thinking about that they're doubting. It was, well, the one with the back surgery, he was doubting because he knew at a certain point, when he got to a certain point after he had his back surgery, he felt like he couldn't do the weight no more, or that was too heavy, or he couldn't do that. And maybe it wasn't that heavy, but it was in his brain. He was just thinking that doubt. And once you get that doubt out of there, man, you could lift up a building if you really needed to. But it's just all in your mind. But once you get them in the right place to stop doubting and distract them from what's going on with them and put them on something else. But they're like little kids. They're like, oh, okay. They'll run over there and go, oh, I like this. Let me keep doing this. I felt that way about a lot of and I was that way when I was being coached. My coaches distract me from one thing, and then I would go over there like a little child running, going, oh, this is fun. Let's do this some more. That's how I train my people too as well.
I always felt that way too. And people don't realize too that when you leave the training, you feel stronger mentally and physically. And like your man with the back, I can totally appreciate that. I had back problems after I had my 2 kids. And so you just, in your back of your mind, you're thinking something's going to snap. But then over time, as you increase the weight and you train with them and you teach them how to breathe properly,
Yes.
they walk away with not only physically feeling better and stronger, but mentally feeling better.
They walk around like confident, seriously, like they could run the world. And that's such an awesome thing to watch. It was the same way with me when my coaches was coaching me all those years until I finally rose to the very top of my sport, like they were at that time. So they're teaching me something that they were already there. When you get up to the top, you really do. You're right. The coaches can sit back and just like little proud peacocks. I know the way I am now. I just sat back and watched some of the athletes that I work with that compete in my sport, that I've coached them to get in the sport. Man, I just sit back. That's every bit of worth the time to spend with them, to watch them actually execute what I showed them to do. And then they got this confidence, and you're right, you see it in their eyes, and you just see it in their whole walk and doing this. They're just so confident. And you take them, like you said, somebody with scoliosis of the spine or the back problem. Exactly. The first thing he was thinking too is exactly what you just said. He was thinking, man, I'm going to pop something. I've done it before. Something's going to go out of whack. I'm not going to be able to get out of the bed. These are all his thoughts too, until I got him distracted from all of that.
Yep. And you made him strong so he didn't have to worry about that. So, Krista, tell me, how do you work with your clients? Do you just work with athletes?
No, it doesn't matter who it is. The only thing they have to do, I'm more of a strength coach. So my business is strength coach. And I teach the disciplines like the squat, bench, and the deadlift. But I take anybody who's serious about learning how to get stronger. Does that make sense? But they got to be serious. And I can train anybody in the gym. I've done that for years. I used to be a personal trainer for years. So I have different facets I can train in physical fitness, but I'm zeroing in on my strength mostly. So I get from the oldest I've ever trained, 66, and just now getting into weightlifting, to the youngest I've had is 13. So it doesn't matter age, sex, doesn't matter color. If you're ready to learn some really good stuff that's going to take you for the rest of your life, I'll take it. It's not a problem.
That's amazing. What you do is so important. And I hope people are listening and hearing that for any age, like you said, you can create some really good disciplines as a young person and carry that into the rest of your life and really enjoy it more.
And then they can play it forward. I love watching me coach people just like I was coached. Now see what happened with me. I was coached by 2 of the best, strongest females in the world in my sport at that time. Look at me now. I'm one of them and I'm able to play it forward. So that's what is the cool thing. It's like the kids, especially, they're like little sponges. So whatever I taught them, they would go back to school and they may have a weight training class or PE or something like that. And they go, oh, guess what? And so That's what I like watching. I like watching them play it forward and tell somebody else the good news. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay. So tell us, how would you like people to reach out to you if they want your help?
Okay. All of my social media, I'm on Power by Krista. I don't do as much social media, but we'll just say I have a website too as well, and that's www.powerbykrista.com. I have a book that's getting ready to drop in September. So if you want to know more about the book and pre-order the book, it's on my website. On my website too, also it says contact me. You can contact me that way or befriend me on anything like Facebook, stuff like that. Just go into Power by Krista, befriend me, and I'll find you, or you can find me, or you can DM me. So I'm on all that. I also have my own YouTube channel. That's another way to find me. And you can find all of my clients, everything I've done, all the stuff. It's 1,000 videos on there. And that's under the same thing, Power by Krista. That's my YouTube channel. So you can subscribe to that channel too as well. I'm pretty easy to tell you the truth, especially because I'm not much of a social media person, but all of my things are on there. And I check them when I get messages and things like that. So yeah. So the book is very important right now because that's my thing, right? That's dropping in September. And it's a self-help, what we're talking about. Matter of fact, a lot of what we're talking about. And it's a spiritual memoir. So it's a memoir of this portion of my life because I'm still here. So all this coaching, talking, teaching is all in the book and how I do it.
Can you share the name of the book?
It's called Krista's Promise.
Oh, I love that. So for anyone who's listening, will put a link to your website in the show notes. So you can reach Krista on all her platforms. And then if her book is out, we'll have her make sure that she gives us a link to it so we can put that in the show notes too.
Absolutely. And so right now it's on my website and we're taking all pre-orders right now. And my name is spelled with a K, not a C. A lot of people get that wrong. It's Krista. But Krista's Promise is very special to me because it's actually a promise I made to God. And now here we got the book. And the book was the promise actually that he gave back to me so that's why I named the book that. So it's actually a promise. It's actually 2 promises I made to God, but that's the name of the
that's
book.
lovely.
So, yes.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm sure it's going to change some lives out there. And that's
my plan. My plan is to get out here and just basically tell the whole world what I've been knowing all along. All of this that we're talking about is the secret of life. It really is. And the magic of life. And how do you do this? How do you go from this to this? And how do you make it work and be happy in life with it? That's really all it is.
I love that. Okay. Last question. If you could provide the world one tip to make it a better place, what would that be?
We need to love each other more. We really honestly do. In this day and age where we're living now, we need to love and help people. We need to lend our hand. Somewhere along the line here, we've lost our way about that love from one another, just for one another. Family, friends, partners, wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, it doesn't matter. Just your average person, just show some love. I don't care if it's somebody on the street that needs $1. Give them $1. That's showing them some love. And I think that's what the world needs right now bad. We need to go back to the basics of taking care of one another and loving one another better. Whether that be a kind gesture or a kind word, something needs to be said to that stranger. Have a good day. That's love. So we need to start doing that more. And that's what I would suggest right now. That's what we need bad. It's just, like I said, a kind word to say to a stranger, a kind gesture you did for a family member or someone, just something, because something will always come back to you the same way. It's the law of attraction. Whatever you put out here, it's going to come right back to you. So you set out some love in what you say to somebody, I guarantee you before the day is up or before that week is up, it's going to come back to you exactly that same way, in a good way.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
Krista, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think our listeners are going to be so grateful that they stuck with us and listened to it and heard all of your amazing message. Yeah. And so much of what you shared. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I had fun. This was fun.
Excellent. We like to have fun.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights. We hope you're leaving this episode with inspiration to take your coaching business and your life to the next level. If you found value in this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and share it with someone else who you think might benefit from hearing it. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.